I'm in my waking up phase right now. I wake up at 6 a.m. every day for the most part. I have a few thoughts and lessons lingering around my brain, so I'm gonna go ahead and talk about them while I find my will to live and work today. In the past few weeks, one of the biggest lessons I've been learning is about projection and what projection actually is, more than just the simple understanding that I had of it. Projection is deflection. Projection is the rejection of self-reflection or reflection just in general. Everything in life is essentially a mirror. Like every person that we see, when we acknowledge their behavior, it's something that we have to accept, not only within the world, that person, and ourselves. And when you accept something, it doesn't always mean tolerate long term, but it does mean seeing it for what it is and not denying reality. When certain things are brought into my awareness, when I'm being faced with the mirror of my past behavior or past thought patterns, I want to just reject the awareness rather than accepting and absorbing it. There's the positive, neutral, and negative. Positive gives, neutral doesn't give nor take, and negative takes. I think that if I project onto others, if I put people down for a specific behavior and I make them feel negative, maybe they'll take away the behavior. Maybe they'll realize the behavior is a negative factor because I'm trying to make them aware of that. But what I didn't realize is that they're internalizing what I'm telling them and they're feeling bad about themselves and not the behavior. My projection gives them more awareness of my feelings than it does of the lesson I'm trying to teach them. They're not going to change their life to accommodate my feelings. But when I'm sharing my reflections, when I'm sharing my life and the lessons I've learned and the way it's helped me, then people are probably more likely to accept the information and the awareness that I'm giving them because I'm not shoving it down their throat. When I project, it's more likely to be absorbed. But when I share my reflections, people don't have to absorb my life lessons. So I'm like, oh my God, but if I'm trying to share this lesson that could help them, they're not going to actually absorb it because they think it's about me. They don't think it has anything to do with them and how it could help them. My self-reflections are neutral for other people. They don't have to give to me and they don't have to take from me. People have to choose to be aware of things within their own desire and will. When I shame people, I am trying to make them aware of something outside of their own desire and will because I'm scared that they won't choose within their own desire and will to become more aware. But I have to accept people for who they are and where they're at. I know what I want from my life and I know who I want to be and I know the change I want to make. But I keep projecting that on everybody else. In my videos, I'll be like, people don't do this, people that, and it's just a habit. But I want to focus more of the language on myself. Like, I used to recognize this behavior in myself. This is how it was unproductive and harmful for me and the people in my life, and this is how I changed that behavior. Rather than being like, this behavior is bad, if you do this behavior, you're bad too, and you need to change this behavior or else you're going to basically ruin the world and harm everybody else selfishly because you don't care. Like, that's so shameful. That is so shameful. And I think that shame, again, has been a driver for me in a way that I wasn't always fully conscious of because of the culture that I was raised in. Like, Christianity is so shameful. The way I was raised is so shameful. I have a lot I need to work on. So yeah, I just project a lot. I want to reflect more and I want to share my lessons and awareness in more of a reflective way and not as much of a projective way. This isn't going to be an attractive video, not an attractive angle, and I don't even know if it's going to make the cut, but we're just going to talk. Right now, I am just so sad, lonely, resentful, angry. It's a weird feeling. Like, I feel so rich in life, like very rich in life, and not rich in the sense of American dollars, but as in I have a lot of value in my life, but I feel so emotionally in debt. No one's ever specifically filling my cup. I'm always just filling my own cup, and I try to fill other people's cup. I like being altruistic and I want to fill other people's cup, but I just feel so in debt in a way. The people at work aren't my friends, and I'm starting to learn that because I thought that some people were more of a friend than they are, but they're not. And that's okay because I'm just in such an accepting place. Like, people don't have to be in my life. Like, people don't have to want me. People don't have to like me. But I don't feel important to like anyone in my life. Not in the way I want to be important to someone. I don't like what it's like in my mind right now. I feel like there's just so much negativity. I'm just alone and I'm so
tired of it. Like, I'm constantly having to make hard decisions, and people always tell me, you don't understand how hard it is. Oh, you don't understand my life. You don't understand this because it's hard. It's hard to do this. It's hard to do that. I know how hard it is because I fucking do it. You think it's hard because you don't want the uncomfortability of change. I know it's hard because I felt the uncomfortability of change. I'm so resentful and I'm so sad. I'm tired of doing hard things. I'm tired of taking on challenges and overcoming them because then I just keep leveling up. But if I just keep leveling up, like, in a way, nobody's on my level. Like, I'm tired of talking to people who lack perspective and they think in black and white, which is okay. I used to. Or they think that everything in life is against them, and I also used to think that. They think that they have no control over anything about themselves or their life, and I also used to think that. I'm just so resentful for how passive people are and how people choose to be non-player characters. Life happens to them. They don't control their life. I've decided to just break down my perfectionism. These videos, Outliving My Diagnosis, it's not about being pretty, it's not about being good, it's not about being articulate, whatever the fuck. My thoughts are gonna be scattered as fuck because guess what? That's what it's like. This is my diary. My thoughts are gonna be scattered. I have to take all my scattered thoughts, say them out loud, and then look at them and organize them and find out what the root problem is and what I can make a change for. You know, I can't even fucking speak. I feel resentful because I do feel like I'm better than everyone else. I do feel like I have more perspective. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly trying to grow. And that doesn't make me inherently superior as a human, but I am more skilled in different ways. And so it just makes me resent everyone because now I'm just aware of how many skills people lack. And it's like, that's none of my business. Like, why are you so fucking hateful and resentful? Like, why do you always have to look at people's weaknesses and put them down for it? I was just venting to Xavier, my ex, who is like, I'm talking to him to entertain myself because I'm just so lonely. Like, I don't give a fuck. And I told him that it's hard not to look down on people because when I look up, I lose sight of them. If I look up, they're not there. Like, they're down here and I can see them at that level, but then when I look to a higher level, they're not there. I just feel so ugly. Like, I don't mind expressing the ugly parts of myself because I have to bring the ugly parts of myself to light, to, like, be in the light and to be better and to change the things I need to work on. I just wish I had, like, a therapist or something, like someone else to help me with, like, doing all of this. I'm so tired of doing it all myself. All of the things I've done myself. Like, the reason I think the way I think, me, I reflect with myself and I force myself to take accountability and everything. I understand that I always have to focus on myself. I am the only thing I can control or change. But I just feel resentful about that because I just wish I had more support. There are so many things I can't talk about with other people because they're just not ready to meet that part of themselves or to make certain changes in their life. I feel like people are afraid of the light. They're not afraid of the darkness. So many people find comfort in the darkness. They find comfort in lying. They find comfort in avoiding. They find comfort in not changing and not learning. They don't want awareness. They find comfort in a lack of awareness, a lack of responsibility, a lack of control. They just find comfort in the darkness. They're scared of the light. They're scared of being seen. And this also used to be me. I'm so tired of being strong. And I obviously understand I'm weak at times too. I'm also so weak, but weakness is a sign of strength, and I've exhausted my strength sometimes so that I'm just weak, and so I act out of weakness and I can be compassionate with myself. But I'm so tired of being strong. I don't want to do everything alone and still have a smile on my face and go through the world acting as if I don't want to fucking be negative and project on everyone, but I'm going to choose to be better and I'm going to choose to project positivity instead of negativity. But I also have no outlet for my negativity. I don't have a person that I can talk to and express the ugly parts of myself. I have imaginary friends, guys. I was talking with myself in the bathroom and I realized I have imaginary friends. I've honestly just been struggling a lot recently, just for the past few months. And right now I'm choosing to be sober so that way I can give my body some time to regulate. I think it's day number 4 and I'm probably gonna stay sober until I'm in California. I'm going to California to visit Vic and Amanda July 1st to the 6th, and I'm very excited for that trip, but I can't even find comfort in substances right now, which is annoying. I just feel so discouraged all the time, and even recently I've been starting to have those feelings of like, what if I'm never successful? Like, I think I'm so important, but then I see myself from the perspective of another person and I'm like, wow, I'm like really really insignificant. I'm not insignificant in my world, but from outside of myself, like, I really don't have much importance to anyone else, and the value that I have isn't really valuable to other people. I really try to do the best I can to feel my feelings and learn what I need to learn, hold myself accountable, shine light on the things I need to shine light on, and try to do the best I can every day to be a beacon of positivity, even though it's kind of annoying at work, which I can understand. Sometimes I overcompensate because I just don't want to be there, and especially recently, just having to come to terms with the fact that, like, I'm not friends really with anybody at work. We're just acquaintances and coworkers, and that's fine, but I don't really have any friends right now, and I could have friends if I chose to connect with certain people, but I also have to figure out why I really don't want to, and like, why am I so adamant on complaining about being lonely, but then I don't want to connect with the people that I have access to.
Hello, it's me again. I'm feeling a lot better. I love my feelings and emotions because when I let them out, it feels like a huge weight is lifted off of me. I got all of my dishes done. I made myself a really nice dinner. I made myself a fried chicken sandwich with onions and pickles on an English muffin because I don't have any other bread or buns as of this moment. I also made a sweet potato. I'm not the biggest fan of sweet potatoes, but they're growing on me and it's what I had. I'm just very thankful for everything I have, and I'm thankful to be safe, and I'm thankful that the conclusion I can always come to is that I have my home, I have myself, and I love the life that I have. And the loneliness and such feelings, those feelings are not going to last forever, and when I feel them, when I go through them, that's how I get out of them. There's no way out but through, so I went through it. Xavier told me that I need to learn how to let go. And I was like, what do you mean I need to learn how to let go? I've let go of so many things. And then I thought about it and I was like, well, I haven't let go of many things. I've had to accept when someone has let go of me, or when I've lost something, or when something's been taken. I can't think of many scenarios in my life where I have autonomously chosen out of my own will to let go of something that I dearly love. When I left Georgia and I decided to move into my car, my friendships were essentially already over, so I had to accept that I was no longer wanted. When my mom moved me across states overnight and I never got to say goodbye to any of my friends, my teachers, that's been a pattern my whole life. I don't get to say goodbye to people. I don't get to say goodbye to things. I didn't choose to let go of that life. It was ripped away from me. I had it one day, it was gone the next. I don't fully let go often. I just have to accept when I no longer have access to something, and even though I don't have access to it, I tend to stay attached to it mentally, and so I have to learn how to let go of the attachment, even though I no longer even have the connection to whatever it is that I loved or wanted. I've still been very attached to the idea of my coworker being in my life. In one of the last few episodes of this season, I talked about how I was ready to let go, and I started to let go, and I started to do much better. And then there was this brief situation that happened in my life. There was a small era where a few events lined up, and I created a story out of them. My friend Natalia told me that she potentially saw our old coworker, the guy that I have this attachment to, on a motorcycle, and she saw him riding potentially, and I was like, oh, we're just gonna move past that information because we're trying to move on, right? And then I was on my bed one day, and I think I was like high out of my mind. I was elevated as fuck, and I was a little sad. I was missing him and whatnot, and then I heard a motorcycle outside of my apartment, and I jumped out of bed. I went down from my loft, I looked out the window, and I saw the motorcycle, and since it wasn't my coworker's face, I immediately was like, ugh, oh my god, like I can't, it made me feel so discouraged. I felt so pathetic. I was like, I thought it was him. And then maybe a week later, I was outside with two of my neighbors, Brandon and Lewis, and they were helping me out, try to figure out what was going on with my AC because it was broken or it was just not working properly. And while we were outside, we saw this guy on a green bike flying by on the dirt road that is connected to our little commune, our little cult community. So I'm like looking at the bike, I'm like literally low-key plotting, like how can I low-key ask to get on this bike? Like I want to go on a motorcycle ride. But then suddenly I started to notice that the person on the bike started going like they were looking back and forth at me, like they were looking at me, and I was also staring at them, but normally when you're looking at people in the cars, they're not really focused on you. And the mannerisms remind me a lot of my coworker, and I was like, is like there's no way, like this guy on the green bike is my coworker. And so they leave the community and I'm just like, whatever, it's not a big deal. But then they come back in. They do, I guess, some kind of circle around the road that you enter in or whatever, and we see the green bike again, and the guy on the green bike is still continuously looking at me, like doing double takes, like trying to get a good look at me. And I was just like, what's going on? And so he goes to the back of the neighborhood, or where the extended neighbors live, and then he comes back around and he's still doing that whole like looking over thing, and then he stops at the beginning of the community. Me and him are now just looking at each other very briefly, and I'm just like, I don't know if this is my neighbor or my coworker, because my delusions are trying to tell me that this is evidence that my coworker is thinking about me. My coworker was trying to do a drive-by. And then I was also like, or my neighbor is just confused as to why I'm staring at him, and so he stopped to stare back at me, and then he left. For my own sanity, I kept trying to tell myself, like, this is my neighbor, or this is someone random, like this isn't my coworker. But my delusions tend to be stronger than my rationality. And so I started to create all of these what ifs of like, oh my god, what if that was my old coworker? Like, what if he's thinking about me? Like, what is he, does he miss me? Does he think about me? And so for weeks after that, I started to get reattached, and I started to think about him so much more. I was no longer in this place of letting go and moving on from him. I was right back where I was a couple weeks ago, just waiting for him to come back. I was waiting to see this fuck ass green bike again, and I never saw the fuck ass green bike again. I low-key have imaginary friends in a way, or I talk to myself in the form of different people, and he's currently one of the forms in which I talk to myself. Like, I will pretend someone's holding me while I hold myself, and he's the face that I imagine. And sometimes I talk to him, and like, I don't know, like I'll create dialogue for him or something, but I'll just like live in my head. I'll live in my imagination. You know, I have my I don't want to flash you guys. I have my tattoo right here from the series Stay With Me by Nicole Fioriona. Sorry if I butchered your name, homegirl. And there are the main characters of the book, Mia and Ollie. One of my favorite quotes in the book is, when reality becomes unbearable, close your eyes. We were made with an imagination. And so I have always just taken that to heart. Like, all my life I've lived in my imagination, because reality has just always been so unbearable, and now my reality is so amazing. But I lost another thing that I got really attached to, and so my loneliness and my grief of that has just really overshadowed all of the amazing things that I have in my life. I'm having to grieve this fantasy that I created in my head for my own comfort. I have so much resentment for people who don't make a change in their life and live passively and this and that, because my old coworker, it seems as though that's his pattern of behavior. I don't want to outwardly say that I resent him, because what if he ever watches my videos one day, or what if he sees that I think less of him or whatever, and then he really never comes back, or what if he never really cares about me ever again, or if he ever did. I resent him for not choosing better for himself. I resent him for staying in a situation that he seemingly hates. I resent him for not being more creative and thinking more outside of the box that he's put himself in, or he's allowed other people to put him in. In my head it's so simple, but I'm not him, and I don't have his life, and I don't know his circumstances. I don't know the factors and variables in his life, or the equation to his problems. Like, I can't solve his problems for him for that very reason. But I'm like, why do you think that you have to stay in this romantic relationship? You can change the dynamic. Why don't you guys break up and then learn how to co-parent more productively, instead of you building a bunch of resentment because you choose to stay with her when you don't want to? That way she is going to continue this idea of thinking that you're going to give her everything that she wants, and you're not, or you don't even want to. So you're lying to her, you're lying to yourself. You can change the dynamics of your relationships without getting rid of the person, or trying to get rid of all of your responsibilities. Like, it's not all or nothing. Life is a game, and we're all dealt different cards and different circumstances, different factors, different variables, different strengths, different weaknesses, and it's our responsibility to maintain balance within this game. Because when you cheat, let's say you're playing a card game and you can only have 5 cards at the same time, and you don't want to get rid of a card before you get a new card, so you're gonna cheat and you're gonna get a new card without getting rid of another one. Now there's an imbalance. Now you're playing unfair, because now the other players are playing at a disadvantage while you've just given yourself an unfair advantage. I helped him cheat. I helped him bypass his responsibility. I helped him take the easy path, because I taught him that he could have access to me without having to give me any value in return. I gave him everything he wanted. I gave him everything he wanted, and I got almost nothing in return. I didn't even
get like cuddles or anything. Like I always want, you know, like I experienced so many things that I experienced with Xavier with him again. I experienced so many things that I experienced with Uriah with him again. I just put myself in the same cycle and I helped him continue his own cycle. It's difficult to learn how to value yourself. He helped me bypass valuing myself, and I helped him bypass him valuing himself, because in order to value himself, he would have to change his life. If what he's telling me is true, that he hates his life, why are you constructing a life for yourself that you hate? You're in control of what you build. I don't know what the fuck I can say about his life, because I really don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about his life, and I convinced myself I fucking did. The moral of this whole thing, though, is that I need to let go. He's not in my life. He's not going to be in my life. He didn't choose me. He had the free subscription. He knew what he had, right? And he chose not to keep it, and that's okay. Every single time someone doesn't choose me, it forces me to face how I have to choose myself. I want this person to choose me, but I'm not even willing to choose myself. He has been nothing but a figment of my imagination for the past 6 months, essentially. He always asked me not to idealize him, not to put him on a pedestal, and I was like, no, I'm not. But I think realistically, I did. I was trying to see him for who he was, and I do think I saw him for who he was to some extent. But at the same time, I was clouded in my judgment because I wanted what I wanted, and so any evidence that showed me that he didn't actually care for me the way I cared about him was just disregarded. I just took any affection that he gave me as evidence that it was going to become more, when it simply wasn't. It was just confirmation bias, and I was living in my own fucking delusion. My attachment to him has been the root of my suffering for the past few months. I haven't let go. I've been wanting a relationship because I want a relationship with him. I don't want just any relationship. I don't need a relationship. I am happy alone. But every single day I think about what a relationship would look like with him. And it makes it a little worse because he really does haunt me at work. I see him in every single corner of the restaurant. I miss seeing him play with his little fingerboards, his skateboards. I miss his smile. I miss his laugh. I miss his personality. I just think I need to devalue him in my head. Like, he didn't value me. He didn't choose me, but I choose to value him more than I value myself. I choose him every single day. I choose to give him so much more of my energy, so much more of my time. I choose to keep this attachment going for the sake of my comfort. I don't know. I still have a lot to think about, a lot to process, but I do think a lot of my feelings have stemmed from this situation and how I have not let go of him. What I wanted to talk about right now before I go pick up my coworkers and listen to my music is that I want to make commitments to myself. I just don't know what commitments I want to make. I have been putting my mechanic lessons on the back burner, so I haven't really been learning about cars. I haven't been doing my study journals. I haven't been reading the Bible. I kind of just spend my free time laying down, doing nothing, and just feeling my feelings and processing right now, which there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I just know I want to do other fulfilling things with my time than just sitting in my feelings. Like, I love feeling my feelings, I love feeling my feelings and emotions, but sometimes I bypass responsibility by staying in my feelings longer than I have to, because our feelings are meant to lead us towards action, but then if we never actually take the action, we just stay absorbed in our feelings, and like, I don't want that. I don't feel super fulfilled by that. I want to be discomforted because I want to grow, and I also value comfort, so it's just like finding a balance. I don't want to continue just wasting my time waiting for someone to come back or waiting for an experience that isn't currently available to me, because another feeling I've been having recently is a feeling of embarrassment that I keep coming to the same realizations over and over and over again with a lack of absorption. For example, in these videos, Outliving My Diagnosis, I will talk about my favorite persons and the lessons that I learn, and then in the next season, I'll be continuing the same cycles, continuing the same lessons, and while I do learn more every single time, I want to do more application and absorption of the lessons that I learn and not just keep repeating the same cycles. I just finished work. I have been so busy. I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted, but there are so many thoughts I want to talk about. So you're going to come with me to Walmart. We're going to film for as long as we can because there's a lot that I want to express, and I hope that I'm able to get it all off my head. That way I don't have to think about, oh, I want to film about this, I want to film about that.
Hopefully this is us filming about this and that. Yesterday was a crazy day. I started off by picking up my coworkers before work, which I'm very thankful I was able to help someone, which is something I actually want to talk about, so I guess we might as well go into that. I like helping people without the idea of gaining something in return, but I feel as though the thing I gain in return, because again, everything in life is a give and take, is the satisfaction that I feel based on the action I've taken, because it also reiterates the identity that I want to construct for myself. Like, I'm a considerate, caring person, and these are things that I naturally do, and that can be expected of me within moderation, because I can say no, obviously, so it's not like this is expected of me, but it fuels the identity that I want to have for myself. So it's not like completely selfless, like, I'm helping you with nothing in return, but really the thing that I'm getting in return, even though my friend bought me biscuits and gravy, so I'm very appreciative of that, it's not like I'm not getting anything in return. I'm almost getting this sense of satisfaction and validation that I am the person that I want to be, in a sense. I don't know. But I picked my coworkers up and we all went to work. Work was crazy. Honestly, one of the worst days we have had in a hot second. We were running 30-minute ticket times, and our standard is getting the food out in 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes. And we were running 30-minute ticket times almost throughout the entire day. I was doing my best to keep the morale up, keep up the energy, and I'm thankful that I was able to help with that. But it was just a rough day, but we got through it. After that, I still went grocery shopping. I went to Publix and I refilled my water jug, which is just such a tedious task. After that, I collected firewood for today's bonfire for Priscilla, because I wanted to make sure she had enough firewood. After that, I took a shower, and then I started painting the gifts that are for my dad for Father's Day and Priscilla's birthday. Let me start going to Walmart. Holy cow, I need to move. So I did a lot yesterday, and I'm very, very proud of myself for everything that I got done, because I didn't want to do half of it, and I'm very thankful for how I showed up. One of the main things that have been on my mind that I really want to talk about is the concept of enabling behaviors, perpetuating behaviors, exhibiting behaviors that you condemn. I will often claim to detest certain behaviors, or to be frustrated with certain behaviors, to be annoyed with certain behaviors. I don't value certain behaviors, but then I exhibit those behaviors myself. I shame certain behaviors in other people, but then I justify it within myself. We need to start going inside of Walmart. I'm super hot right now. Let's say someone wants to claim that the behavior of prejudice is harmful, it's unproductive. You think being prejudiced is bad, and where do we commonly see the behavior of prejudice? Oh, in our culture of men. Men are commonly very prejudiced because of the way they perceive women. But when women put men down and say, oh, I hate men, men are stupid, men are disgusting, men are this, men are that, they're also exhibiting prejudice. So you're not saying that the behavior of prejudice is bad, you just want to validate your feelings because it's affecting you. You're not trying to actually regulate the behavior of prejudice, you're actually perpetuating the behavior of prejudice to make yourself feel more comfortable. I exhibit this behavior a lot because there are a lot of things that I still need to become aware of within myself, because I will shame someone for a specific behavior like ignorance or lack of awareness. Oh, I just thought of another thing we need to talk about. But really what I'm doing is being ignorant myself, lacking awareness of how I could make more change or how I could be more productive, because I just want to make myself feel comfortable. I want to validate my feelings. Another big thing I've been thinking about is how I devalue people who don't have the same values as me. Let's say I value awareness, I value intelligence, I value knowledge. Those are like my highest values. Personally, Stephanie's values. But if someone doesn't value intelligence, someone doesn't value knowledge, someone doesn't value awareness, I will devalue them as a person. I won't just acknowledge that they have different strengths or different values that could bring purpose to their experience. I will just devalue them to make myself feel more comfortable, because my values must be objective. My values must be the most important things in this living conscious experience, but they're not. They're my values. If I continue perpetuating the behavior of devaluing people when they don't share the same values as me, I'm not making productive change in the world. I'm validating my own feelings. I'm accommodating my own feelings. I'm putting people down to lift myself up when that's not going to do anything productive. I want to make change, but then if I continue perpetuating the same behaviors and habits that I am, I'm not actually going to achieve that goal, because you can't lift people up, help them become better, change, be lighter. You can't help them rise in consciousness, if that's what you want to say, if you're constantly shaming them and pushing them down. That is so unproductive, and I need to work and do better about that. Another thing I'm becoming more aware about is how I judge people for not knowing things that I myself have only recently been learning. I've only learned a lot of these concepts within the last year, but I feel so justified in shaming and judging everyone else for not knowing them, when we're all going at our own pace based on our own experiences and our own awareness. The more I shame someone for their lack of awareness, the less they're going to value awareness. My methods of trying to make people aware are just not productive, because I have to let people be aware within their own desire and will, and not me trying to force it on them. For
first thing I would like to talk about is how I've been experiencing an era of my life where I haven't been having a lot of expectations and I haven't been making commitments to myself. I've been allowing myself to just exist and feel and do what I feel is best. I have decided that I'm going to start making commitments, and there are certain expectations I'm going to have of myself. I needed to learn to live without expectations. Now I know how to have expectations of myself, not other people. One of the expectations that I set for myself, the commitment that I made to myself, was that I was going to be sober before going to California. I've been sober for over a week. I have another week to go while being sober, and I'm going to have an amazing time once I'm in California. I'm excited to start making commitments again. I'm excited to start doing things with my time other than just thinking and feeling, and while that has value, there are other things of value I want to do. I've been introspecting a lot about my favorite person attachment. I do think I'm going to start referring to my old coworker as my favorite person because it really has nothing to do with my favorite person. I admire my favorite person so much, my old coworker, but inherently it all stems from the attachment attached to him. My nervous system wants to experience a similar person to Xavier or Barn Guy or Uriah, someone who isn't instinctively choosing me, and then have a different outcome. So it's the same situation, different outcome, to break the cycle within my nervous system. But I did learn that I'm the one who has to break that cycle. The cycle was not them not choosing me, it was me not choosing me. And so I've had to come to a lot of those realizations, and so I do think I'm going to start shifting back to that favorite person language because I just never chose myself. I've always chose my attachments over me. I've always valued them over myself, and there's a lot of stuff to go into that, so I'm sure we'll explore that more in the future. I love feeling my feelings and emotions when I really allow myself to feel how I feel in the moment. Obviously, we're not intellectualizing in the moment, we're just feeling in the moment, and then I could use my intelligence afterwards, which is very beneficial to me. I have found such a good balance. I feel what I feel. I record, I do personal video diaries, not like Outliving My Diagnosis video diaries, and I just talk to myself and I allow myself to be as angry as I am or as resentful as I am, and I just get it all out onto the table, and then I introspect about everything that I just barfed up essentially, and I learn more about myself, and I'm able to redirect based on what I've become aware of. And my feelings bring a lot of awareness, and I love my feelings, I love my emotions, but they're also not my highest value. And so as I learn what comes up, I learn what I need to let go of. I've been doing a lot of introspection about my initial intentions when I started this series. While my intentions were pure in some areas, and it has helped me so much throughout the last few years, part of my intentions was that if I share every single thought, every single feeling, every single intention, if I just share every part of myself online, the good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, whatever it might be, then people would understand me. Then people would actually see me for who I am and not just who they want me to be. But no one will ever understand you to the extent you understand yourself, and you yourself will never have an objective understanding of yourself. And so I'm trying to devalue that desire, and I've been doing a great job with that. I'll probably have a couple more episodes about living my diagnosis and still go through the motions of this, but at the end of this year, or maybe even a little bit before, I am going to end the series, and season 3 will be the last season of Outliving My Diagnosis. There are so many other things I wanted to talk about this week, one of them being the idea that intention is not fully what drives behavior often. It's actually identity. And when people don't intend to construct their own identity, when people don't intend to be their own person, their identity is constructed around other people and external sources. And so their behavior will be driven by the identity they're trying to maintain other people in their lives. And so that's something I wanted to talk more about in this video. I actually did talk about it in another clip, but I just ended up cutting it out because I wasn't able to articulate it properly. But in the future, hopefully we'll be able to dive into that more. So many other things I wanted to talk about, but I didn't talk about it in the moment. And so it doesn't really flow in the way it would have in the moment. So in the future, that's something we'll talk about. But I love you guys so much, and thank you for watching this episode and all that it was. I think it was a very, very good week, and I'm very proud of myself. I think we were very introspective. We're learning how to be more reflective, just the works. And so please just leave this video knowing that you are sexy, you are valid, and you are so loved. And I will see you in the next video.
Hope you liked my videos. Is there anything else I'm supposed to say as a YouTuber?